how was that, buddy? What a great night of fights.
Man, it was actually a really solid night of fight, especially on the main card. We had a lot of fights that went to decision, but they were all bangers, man. I mean, I'm just still mind blown. It's still upsetting me about the whole Gilbert Burns thing with him not getting one more win, but man, kudos to Mike Malott, man. He is a savage. He kept the pressure on, even when Gilbert Burns was coming at him with everything he had with those nasty overhand rights, and then every time he even tried to take him down. I mean, Mike Malott, stuffed him seven, 8 times throughout the fight? Two in 2 rounds? Stuffing Gilbert Burns that many times and not letting Gilbert Burns get you to the ground at least one time? That's incredible. He's going to make a pretty good run for it. I mean, Canada really might have their next future star. He might not be the next GSP, but hey, we shall see.
Yeah, he's no GSP, he's no Rory. So,
Yeah.
as far as Canada's next big star, I don't know about him. I think Eamon Zahabi still might have that one. He's definitely still Zahabi's closest to a title, and he's fighting on the White House. But
Yeah.
we're talking about Winnipeg today. So yeah, let's get into the main event. Let's just right off the top. Retirement. Let's, I guess, start with the big story there. Gilbert Burns retires after his loss to Mike Malott. What is that? Was that 5 in a row?
Yes, that is 5 in a row
Yeah.
that he lost.
Yeah. Bilal Muhammad, Jack Della Maddalena, Sean Brady, Michael Morales, Mike Malott. 5 wins, sorry, 5 losses in a row. You know, he's old. He gave it to Usman in that round one of his title fight, almost took it from him. And he put up after that he put up that great fight against Khamzat Chimaev, the first fighter to test the now middleweight champion. So
Yeah.
Gilbert Burnt and so many other fights going all the way back to his lightweight career or yeah, lightweight career. But here he is now, and no disrespect to Mike Malott. Like you said, there's something going on there for sure.
Yes.
But Mike Malott is by far the worst fighter that, or least best fighter, let's say it that way.
Yes.
The least best fighter that he's ever lost to. The other guys, all championship level fighters, all near contenders. Mike Malott, that he just entered the rankings. And hey, welterweight stacked, fair enough. But that's kind of where it ends up there. So, and you said yeah, Gilbert Burns, he woke up that dog in him. He did go for it. He was trying to get takedowns, trying to land damage. But for long stretches there, he was just standing, not throwing right in front of Mike Malott. Mike Malott able to work his game a little bit there. And I know last week we didn't do the best preview of the fight.
No.
Because it was one of those things where we don't really knew. I think the fight kind of justified why we didn't really know what to say, because we had concerns that Burns might be overdue, and we really just don't know how good Mike Malott is. And hey, he can put down the veteran Gilbert Burns, but in his retirement. But how good is he really? It's a tough one. I don't know how many answers we got, but we know Mike Malott is now on his welterweight title run.
Yes, Michael Lott is 100% for sure on his welterweight title run. I think if they give him one more high profile fight, I mean a guy at least maybe in the top 6, top 7, they might be really considering throwing him up there into the top dogs. But I'd want to at least see 2 more fights from him is what I would do if I was a UFC. Not really put him on too fast of a pace, but like you were saying earlier, it's Gilbert Burns' last 4 fights were to straight dogs. I mean, he lost to some really, really ex champions, ex
Oh
top
yeah,
ranked people. That's why I was like,
yeah, I know we did this last week. I'm not gonna go back too
yeah,
far, but yeah, in 2021 he loses the title fight to Kamaru Usman.
yeah,
Then his next loss, he comes back and gets a win over Stephen Thompson, but his next fight, Khamzat Chimaev, it was fight of the night. He gave it to Chimaev. I think the first guy to take Chimaev to decision.
yeah. He actually
And then yeah,
outstruck Shemaev and had a higher striking percentage than Shemaev. But Shemaev got him down to the ground twice, and that's what ultimately the judges gave it to Shemaev. But if you rewatch that fight, you can honestly almost make an argument that was Shemaev's possibly first loss. I still think Shemaev did definitely just slightly edged it out. But I
I think he
mean,
edged it,
wow.
but he Burns took it to him.
Yes.
And then yeah, like Burns, he beats Magny and he Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah.
I completely forgot that fight even happened. Actually, to be honest, but yeah, and then Bilal Muhammad, and like just that run of losses, and now Mike Malott, a guy that wasn't ranked, has beaten him, and beat him brutally. He just, you know, Gilbert on the ground in the corner, Malott over him, winging hooks on him. Herb, gave him the stoppage, and I gotta say, great finish by Mike Malott. He did show that determination in the fight. He showed the pose. I mean, this was UFC Winnipeg. You know what I mean? They
Yes.
went back to Canada. The Canadian fans always do good for their guys. You were saying he's no GSP. I said he's no Rory. Canada, they've been missing their star. Again, Eamon Zahabi's out there in bantamweight division. I think he's number 6, number 5
Yeah.
on his way up, fighting on the White House, trying to get his title fight. I think he's now starting to take off the former champions. But Mike Malott saying, hey, I'm here too.
Yeah.
And a big win over Gilbert Burns.
Massive one.
Um,
Let me
do you
see.
want to talk about Burns's retirement or
Not quite yet. I do want to.
Malott's future fight?
I want to talk about. Just to give a beautiful shout out to the Canadian fans. Anytime the Canadians were out there swinging, they were on their side the whole entire fight. They wanted all the Canadians to win. I mean, it was really fun to see. And the cheering ovation that they gave Gilbert Burns during his retirement speech was beautiful. I mean, Canada's really showed out their true what's the word the Canadians use, like their brotherly love, or how do they have a certain word that they use, but the one of the friendliest countries in the world, they really showed it out today. And shout out to the Canadians.
Yeah, no, the Canadian fans are always great.
Yeah.
Like, they really are. And it's one that, like, I don't know if it's brotherly love. I mean, yeah, they root for their guys. It was actually funny. We'll talk about it later in the Jai Herbert fight. He gets it done over one of their
He
guys.
did.
And,
Yeah.
he's like, come on, man. Don't boo me. That was a good fight. He's really good. Like, come on. And they're like, they gave him like the begrudgingly started clapping. It was like, that was hysterical.
It was.
Let's talk about what do you want to see from Milan in the future. You said they don't want to rush him. Well, hey, let's look at the rankings. Um, Gilbert Burns was ranked 11.
Yeah.
Underneath him, Michael Venom Page, Aros Medic, Daniel Rodriguez, and Colby Covington at 15. Immediately above Burns is Gabriel Bonfim at rank 10, Joaquin Buckley at rank 9, and Leon Edwards at rank 8. I don't think we should even go past that. So what are you thinking in the bottom half? Who do you like a lot going against?
Joaquin Buckley needs another win after losing to Usman in the last fight, and I really think Buckley and Malott would be a fun, action-packed fight. Both high-end stand-up games, very electrifying fight. I'm really leaning towards a Buckley fight.
Yeah, I mean, and like I kind of like that. I mean, let's look at this 4-fight win streak that Malott's on. So his only loss in the UFC is to Neil Magny.
Mm-hmm.
He comes into the UFC, back in 2022, gets gets a win, gets some perform of the night bonuses, early finishes, loses to Neil Magny. Okay, Neil Magny's the gatekeeper. This guy's not ready, so he gets back in there. Beats Trevin Giles, finishes Charles Radke, beats Kevin Holland. Now that fight was kind of weird, and there were a lot of groin strikes that Malott was not penalized on. So maybe Kevin Holland should have actually won that fight. But regardless, the record's the record. He got the win over Kevin Holland, and now he just finished Gilbert Burns and gets another performance bonus. By the way, make that money, 100K after winning in front of your hometown, or at least your countrymen. Good, must be feeling good for him.
You can never say anything wrong about an extra 100 bands in the pocket. Shout out to him.
You're saying Buckley, so that's going up. Like, frankly, you know,
What do you think? Tell me.
we're talking about. I mean, no, I'm setting him up for failure. Put him against MVP.
I mean, MVP wouldn't be a bad option. We don't have the MVP of the old, but MVP is still savage, man.
And
That'd be a
I
real
got,
test.
I gotta keep hyping my guy up.
Yeah, that would be a real test putting him up against Michael Venom Page. I mean, it'd be a fun stand-up fight. I don't think MVP would take it to the ground by any means. I think it'd be a very electric fight. Gosh, I mean, I don't know. Mike Malott looked very, very good in that fight
He
against
looked
Gilbert
good.
Burns.
He needs to put. He was absolutely showing Gilbert some respect, and I mean, you should. Gilbert's dangerous. He is a dangerous fighter.
Yes.
He got the job done. Let's transition off that. Great win for Mike Malott. Congratulations to him. But Gilbert Burns retires, and I know we already kind of talked about his career, but I just think one more time, I'm pretty sure he's going to be going into coaching now. Thank you, Gilbert Burns. What a career.
Thank you, Gilbert Burns. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
That was, man, I can't wait to see, I can't wait to see him coaching because he has so much knowledge and like just we talk about these Brazilian guys sometimes, and Charles Oliveira is right in there too. Just these dual threats, dangerous, dangerous submissions, and lethal power in the hands.
Yes.
And there's like they can wrestle, they can body lock, they have great boxing. It just another one's retiring, and there's not a lot of guys like Gilbert Burns. So again, thank you for your career, and that was awesome.
Yes. Thank you for your
Let's get into
career.
the co-main, unless you have something else to say.
Nope, nope. Just one of the best dual threats to ever stepped in the octagon.
All right, getting into the co-main event, buddy. When I told you initially, I ended up watching the main card.
Yeah.
But when we were texting last night, you're like, "Oh, so I'm gonna watch the main card. Derek, what fights do you think you're watching?" I'm like, definitely the main event. Probably just the co-main. I ended up watching the main card,
Yeah.
but I wanted to watch that co-main because Charles Jourdain versus Kyler Phillips. I knew that was going to be I knew that was going to be a fight.
Yeah.
I didn't expect fight of the night. Easily the best fight on the card. Like,
Yes.
and that's no disrespect. This was a good card. Oh my God, what an amazing fight. I was so happy with that. Charles Jourdain gets the unanimous decision win, 2-3 rounds for him against Kyler Phillips in a grueling fight. High pace. And these guys, neither one of these guys are a ranked bantamweight. Isn't that wild?
Yeah. Very wild. We were going back and forth on who won which round. Was
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
what was it? Cal Phillips for sure won the first round, but I definitely gave it to Charles Jourdain for the last two. It came
Yeah.
back a split decision, correct?
No, it was a
It
unanimous
was a unanimous decision?
so-
Okay, so I agree with them unanimously. But it was very, very close on that third round. I mean, you really could
Yeah.
have gone it either way.
So just on that relentless pace and just moving forward determination by Kyler Phillips, I mean,
Mhm.
there's an argument. He absolutely won round one.
Yeah.
Round two was super close.
Yeah.
And frankly, you could make an argument for round three.
Yeah.
I think Charles Jourdain did work in round three. That's easily probably his best round. I mean, Phillips was gassed by that point,
Yeah.
but he still kept going. And yeah, I was also saying, so I could see 2 or 3 rounds for Kyler Phillips. I could also see the back to round two and round three for Charles Jourdain. Like, wow, what a great fight. And it's just like, so yeah, just the constant attacking the chin, attacking the neck with the submissions just slowed down Kyler Phillips, constantly adding into scrambles, having to respect Jourdain's submission ability.
Yeah.
And while not backing away from the ground game either. And Jourdain constantly scramble, hitting with the submission, working back up to the feet. Okay, we're back up to feet. He's walking forward, going forward, constantly making the wild, throwing flying knees, jumping body switch kicks.
Yeah.
The boxing's great in that fight.
It was
Yeah, Jourdain's a problem, man.
Yeah.
He is a problem.
Well, it becomes a problem when you're taken down 7 times in a fight, and he must have gotten back up all 7 times within 30 seconds. His ability to be put back on his back starts going back from the guy being able to put his hands in the correct positions to establish a base and then shoot up from his base, and then able to turn around, twist, break the hand control on Kyler Phillips. And he kept doing it every time. And then those flying knees threw me for a loop sometimes. He did get caught
Yeah.
on one of them, which was hysterical.
Especially in that last round when there's a minute left, he throws like three of them. I go, come on, please get one of these. And two Rolling Thunders at the end of
Yeah,
the rounds by Charles Jourdain as well. He's
yeah.
a wild man in there.
He almost connected on that last Rolling Thunder. That one
Yeah.
tickled his
Guy
face.
hit the shoulder. The guy hit the shoulder, not quite the chin, but
Yeah,
oh, that was scary for a second there.
yeah.
Just landing it is like praise enough. Yeah, and you know what? Let's like hats off for a minute. The game plan of Charles Jourdain. Yeah, he had the constant forward pressure, the great scrambling, but the body kicks, especially in those round two, those teeps into the middle when Kyler Phillips is trying to move forward and just drain the gas tank of Phillips. And you definitely saw it going into the end of that second round, third round. Phillips deep breaths, and then one of those scrambles, Jourdain hit him some elbows, busting him up in the third round. He's like bleeding around his eye. I definitely think that visual damage is what helped secure round three for Charles Jourdain because again, it was close.
Oh, it was very, very close. Yeah, that round three definitely submitted the win for him. And just shout out Charles Jourdain. You going if you keep doing that, you're gonna have a very good UFC career. That was amazing.
And so you want to know what I want next is I want him to fight a ranked opponent. Yeah, Charles Jourdain, he's one of those guys like I'm going to tell you his record. And he's a problem. He's great. Like he is one of my when it comes into that like tier of like unranked fighters,
Yeah.
he's one of my favorites. You know what I mean? He's always fun. I think he's always fun. I like his fights. They're always good fights. But he's 9-7-1 in the UFC. His losses are against good fighters. His last one was a knockout again, lost to John Silva, but now he's on a 3-fight win streak. He's also lost to other guys like Nathaniel Wood, Shane Burgo, Sean Woodson, Julian Erosa, Andre Feely. You know what I mean? So like he loses to names, but they're not the highest level names, which is the problem.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that the UFC knows that he can't be I mean, not put away, but they can't just like get rid of him even when he goes on those losing streaks and loses
He's a good
badly. He's
fighter.
just a great
He's
overall fighter. It's any day of the week he could beat anybody, and then any day of the week he could lose to anybody.
Yeah, the problem with him, and like he definitely has a ceiling.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? He doesn't carry a ton of power. Like
yeah.
he has a ceiling, and you know what? It's unfortunate for him is he happens to be a bantamweight, and bantamweight is the most stacked division in the sport, and it's like just the most elite talent is all at bantamweight, and we love our lightweights too, but bantamweight's wild.
Bantamweight is stacked throughout the whole rank.
What do you think? Put him against Patricio Pitbull,
That's exactly who I was thinking of too.
even though he's coming off a loss,
Yes,
or do you put him against Aaron Pico?
either or totally would work. Aaron Pico or Patricio Pitbull. I'd be excited for either fight equally.
I would, I I
But
would actually I think like Aaron Pico versus Charles Jourdain. Pico should win that fight. He
yeah,
is technically more skilled, but Jourdain's going to bring it to him. And yeah, you're going to have a guy you should be able to beat, but it's going to bring hella pressure to your face. I kind of like that fight. Pico has the wrestling, but Jourdain, hey, he might implement a similar game plan. So let's and Pico has had gassing issues. Charles Jourdain put on a hella pace. And you know what I was saying, texting when we were talking about back and forth? I wish that was a 5-round fight. I don't know if you can make Jourdain a main event, but frankly, if there's one good thing about this era of slop UFC fights and shallow cards is you can do an Apex main event of Aaron Pico, Charles Jourdain.
well, easily you could definitely do a apex of it with Pico and Jourdain. That's 100% accurate. It'll be a barn banger.
Yeah. How do you feel about Kyler Phillips? Obviously a loss, but still a good fight. Where do you want to see next from him?
I want Kyler Phillips to take a little bit extra time off, get his. I want him to see if this keep work. If he wants to try to keep taking people down like he was, I mean, would he try to attack him 13 times takedown attempts, 12 takedown attempts? It was actually insane. If that's what his game plan is and he's going to keep using that game plan, you have to be able to keep the people to the ground. You definitely need to keep working on your ground game, especially if that's what you're going to rely on and you're doing that against you don't want to stand and bang against Jourdain. You're going to have problems going up in the rankings.
Yeah, I mean, well, and like that's the thing, going into the fight, I was going to say, like, frankly, I think Kyler Phillips kind of has the higher or had the higher ceiling over Charles Jourdain.
Yeah,
Excuse me. Here, let me actually go back and look at that really quick. So yeah, Charles Jourdain, 6-4 in the UFC. His four losses. By the way, he only loses by decision.
oh wow.
He does not get finished. His losses now are, um, oh, oh, back in 2021 in a fight of the night against Julian Paiva, I think it is.
Yeah,
He lost majority decision. He loses a decision against Rob Font, Vinicius Oliveira, and now Charles Jourdain in another fight of the night. So two losses in fight of the night is good for him. But now, three-fight losing streak for Kyler Phillips. And like, hey, these are good fights, but damn, his best win, maybe Pedro Munoz, Hani Barcelos. He does have a win over Song Yadong back in 2021. And if you go way back, nope, that's Charles Jourdain that has the way back win over Lando Venata. But and that's the thing, Charles, back in the day, when we were in our prime of watching the fights back in the 2010s, what does that mean? Kyler Phillips being on a three-fight losing streak, it means he'd be cut.
correct.
And I think that could be the one of the worst things they would do. For like, I would be so disappointed if they got rid of Kyler Phillips. I want to see him back in the ring or octagon. Sorry.
Yeah, no, like I was saying, he needs to crisp up a couple things in his fighting, and then he has to get a win. If he goes on a 4-fight losing streak, I don't care. Kyler Phillips, you're not going to be in the UFC much longer.
How do you like him against Ricky Simone?
At this point in Ricky Simone's career, it's not a bad fight by any means.
Yeah.
I don't like
How's
it
Ricky
though.
doing? No, you don't like that fight?
I want Kyler Phillips to get the win. I think that's a little too.
Well, Ricky. Okay. Let's argue that. Let's argue that really quick. What do you mean? I think Kyler Phillips has a good chance at beating Ricky Simone.
Yeah,
I mean, again, he has to contend with the power and some wrestling, but I think he should be able to put a pace, a similar game plan that he just did, but actually get the win.
yeah,
Charles Jourdain, I mean, yeah, Ricky Simone does carry a little bit more power. Jourdain's not in the Simone's not in the rankings anymore. 10-6 in the UFC and one. His last fight was the draw against Yanez a couple weeks ago, and he's actually coming off a loss before that. My had a little stutter there. I think I'm good. I might have too many windows open. I'm gonna go ahead and go back here.
yeah.
Oh,
Close those
sorry about
windows
that.
out.
Yeah. All right. Well, you have like 16 Tapology pages open while live streaming and have the YouTube feed open. Just check on it. Let me go ahead and close that. I think that's what's causing the issue. But no one's commenting in the live chat. Anyone watching, you should comment. We can have a Q&A here, by the way. Anyways, Ricky Simone, who would you put him against then? If you like Simone's a good fight. Like he's on a losing streak even though he's coming off a loss. It draws a loss in the UFC, okay?
Yeah.
So, I think that'd be a fun fight. But if you disagree, give me a better one.
Let me pull up Tapology real quick. Where do they have Ricky Simone at?
He's not ranked.
Yeah, but
That's my
Tapology be
point.
going deep.
Yeah, Topology's rankings, he's going to be low. Probably
23.
30. What?
23.
20. Where do they have Kyler Phillips now?
20.
Okay, it's perfect matchmaking.
And
Perfect
Charles
matchmaking.
Jourdain is 19.
Yeah, he should be now.
He ain't gonna go up in rank. I don't. Do you think they put him ranked? No, there ain't no way to put Charles Jourdain ranked.
Jourdain or
No,
Phillips? No.
no. Talk about Charles Jourdain because we're all
Charles Jourdain, I was saying, hopefully, like I said, against maybe Pitbull or Aaron Pico.
yeah,
In the on the UFC rankings, they are ranked 13, 13 for Pico, 15 for Pit, 15 for Pitbull, 13 for Pico.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, 25 minutes in, and we are just finishing up our post fight for UFC
I mean, the more I'm
Winnipeg.
thinking about it, Ricky Simone wouldn't be bad. Bryce Mitchell wouldn't be bad.
Bryce Mitchell wouldn't be bad either.
It'd be between those two. I think Bryce Mitchell or Ricky Simone. I think he would have problems still with both, but we shall see.
Let's get going into the rest of the card here.
Okay.
Did you watch the whole main card?
Not the whole thing, but I did catch the women's fight.
Okay. So let's quickly, before we get to that, quickly talk about Jai Herbert and Mendel Nalo. Jai Herbert, wow. That was a fun fight. Did you watch that one?
Yeah, I did.
All right. Round one, Nalo going in aggressive. He has the kicks, he has those good straight punches. I don't know if, like, okay, they weren't all drops, but Jai Herbert butt hit the ground 4 times in that first
Yeah,
round. I think two were slips and two were punches, but like he's off balance, and again, he's hurt. He's getting like Jai Herbert does get hurt.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Perfect timing and perfect punch.
yeah, catches him, hits him with the ground and pound. And you were talking in the last fight about good jujitsu. Ready for this one?
Yeah,
While Nalo is raw, getting bombed on, he transfers. He isolates the arm. So Herbert postures up. He switches, goes for the leg lock.
yeah,
Herbert starts to walk out of it. Nalo wrestles up, pushes him against the cage, separates. Beautiful jujitsu into a wrestle up, stand up separation after getting bombed on. The problem was didn't have enough time to recover. He's still wobbly, he's still rocked, and Herbert closes in on Prey there and gets it done. Drops him, and he just won that ticket via ground and pound.
Hey Yuri, this is how you attack the prey.
Yeah, when the guy's hurt,
Yes.
close that distance. By the way, we talked about that 100 bands for Mike Malott. Jourdain and Phillips fight at night also got okay each. Jai Herbert, I kind of feel like he maybe deserved a performance bonus.
Yes.
Maybe. Barbosa ended up getting it with his beautiful knockout. We'll talk about later. But I feel like Herbert might deserve that. But regardless, the guy's finished bonus. Anything else you want to say about that fight?
No, no, it was a very quick, electrifying fight. Went down, got back up, got the finish, and
Yeah.
finished it off. It was some beautiful, beautiful BJJ on the ground, like you were saying. I mean, you couldn't have said that fight any better, Derek. I mean, you just
I
redid the
took
whole
notes.
fight.
When the fights only go for 3 minutes, they're pretty easy to talk about.
Yeah, like you.
But let's talk about this one that went for 15 minutes that you watched. I did watch it too, and I actually went to rewatch it because wasn't paying full attention, and then I actually went and put on the Jourdain Phillips fight again because I'm like I want to watch this fight again. If I'm going to watch a fight twice,
Yeah.
I might as well watch the fight of the night twice.
Yes.
Jasmine Jasnavicius takes on and wins against what's
It's a
I'm
Kareem
blanking on her first name.
Kareem
Silva.
Silva.
Karine Silva, I'm sorry.
Kareem Silva, I was shocked by the amount of submission attempts that she was trying to pull off on that fight. She
Hmm.
got very, very close throughout the whole fight, but Jasmine kept getting out of it, kept getting stood up, and just kept throwing the punches. And honestly, she even took her down a couple times, got 3 takedowns against her too. It was a pretty
Yeah.
good back and forth fight. It was it was a really fun women's fight.
It was a good fight. I don't want to take away from that. Definitely a grappling clinic on that one.
Yeah,
And yeah, it was kind of the classic thing. Anyone could tell that Jasnavicius was going to go in, top pressure, score some striking on top, wrestle. And yeah, Karine Silva, she has like her thing is going to be submissions on that. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, both were ranked fighters. I believe they were occupying the back half of. No, they're in the middle of the pack. So Jazz Davicius was ranked 7 in the flyweight division, and Karine Silva ranked 9.
yeah.
So she was fighting down and defend. So now the people above Jazz Davicius are Rose Namajunas, Macy Barber, Aaron Blanchfield, Alexa Grasso, Manon Farrow, and Natalia Silva. All tough fights, and I don't know if Jazz Davicius can beat those fighters, but what do you think?
I think she is perfectly ranked. So like
Mm-hmm.
because everybody above her, I see she's gonna have a lot of trouble against because she had a lot of trouble against the fight she was just in yesterday, and
Yeah, her not first loss in the UFC. I mean, let's go through this. 9-3 in the UFC, a bunch of good wins. Her best win, the win against Karine Silva was good, but her best win was definitely her performance of the night, rear naked choke against Jessica Andrade. She also decisioned Myra Buena Silva. which was good too. But her losses: Natalia Silva, Tracy Cortez, and her last fight where she got knocked out against Manon Fiorot. Yeah, and Manon Fiorot, Natalia Silva, above her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In the rankings still, and actively still above her in the rankings. Alexa Grasso just got it back done. I guess Macy Barber coming off a loss is kind of the weakest link there. Maybe Aaron Blanchfield Rose, but all three of those, Blanchfield, Rose, and Barber, are definitely steps up for Jasudavicius.
I mean, the only fight you could really make there is a Macy Barber fight coming off of that loss recently. Even
I know,
then, though,
honestly,
unless you want to
honestly,
run it back with Natalia Silva, what are you thinking?
do Rose.
Do Thug Rose?
Yeah, yeah. Let's look at here. Let me pull up Rose's thing really quick, because like Rose is going kind of back and forth at flyweight here, hasn't she? Yeah. So she lost to Sparza, moved up back in 2023, loses to Moreau, wins against Ribas, wins against Cortez, loses against Blanchfield, beats Maverick, loses against Silva. So she's kind of in a back and forth thing. So yeah, maybe Rose should fight right. They're right next to each other in the rankings. I think that and that could actually be the big that could be the next that could be a breakout performance, and again, that could be a co-main event, or a yeah, probably a co-main
It'll
event.
definitely be a co-main event for sure. Thug Rose brings some of the most value out of the women's division for her name value. Anytime you have Thug
Yeah.
Rose, people love watching her, and it'll be a fun fight to
Now that
see.
might be a Rose versus Jazavicius. That could be a boring fight, to be fair,
Yeah,
because if Jazavicius cannot get Rose down, then Rose is going to jab her face off
yeah,
for 15 minutes.
yeah.
Maybe she gets the job done if Rose gets back in there, but most likely it's a tough fight. But you're at that point. You're in the bottom seven. You got back that win against one of your top, coming off a loss. Get right back in there. Take out a former champ, just like you did on Drosh. That's the way to let bygones be bygones and keep going towards that time. Also, we're talking about Canadians. We threw Zahabi, we threw Malott in there. Jazz Davicius in the women's division, I believe, with Jillian Roberson, are absolutely the two top Canadian women right now in the UFC.
Sorry, my dad was texting me. Yeah, you're definitely not wrong with that at all. It's a fun time for that division. But the one thing I always have problems with is they always have to rerun so many fights in those top women ranks.
Well, when you got a champion like
Yeah,
Valentina Shevchenko, that's just going to slap everyone back down except for Amanda Nunes and Alexa Grasso that one time.
yeah,
It's kind of hard, these people, you get put back in rotation.
yeah. You really do. You really do get put back in rotation. It shows the dominance of the best women's fighters there are. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean it really does. Let's anything else you want? Again, great fight actually, but you ready to move on to what was this? Was this the last fight on the
No, Gage.
on the main card? Gage Young, G Money.
I did. I guess I did watch the whole main card because I watched this fight too. I guess I wasn't paying attention how much I watched. Gage.
So I did score this. I did score this round
Yeah,
because I know it was a split decision. I heard it was a little controversial. So I actually sat down and scored this fight because I didn't watch it through the first time. I missed
yeah.
it, and then I sat down and actually watched it. So, what was your takeaway? Who did you score it, and how much do you like G Money?
I think G Money is a true gangster through and throughout.
25 years old, youngest fighter on the card.
Yeah, no, for him being the youngest fighter on the card at 25 years old and what he did to Thiago Moses, it wasn't like a complete obliteration by any means, but throughout the
Keep
fight,
going.
he
I'll be right
kept the
back.
pace up on Thiago Moses. George G Money Young is one of the next up and coming stars, in my opinion. He's going to have a great time in a stacked lightweight division, and this is a great win for him. I mean, what? I mean, he connected on over 130 successful punches at a. It has to be like above a 50% connection rate. Anytime you go above 50% striking rate, that's a great thing for a UFC fighter. And for him to do that at the young age of 25 and be able to keep that pace on Moses, I mean, I don't understand why there's even any controversy on this fight. He won the fight fair and square, and I just don't. Yes, I mean, Thiago Moses did try to take him down 15 times, but he only successfully pulled that off twice. I mean, come on, people.
So, okay, let's talk about this fight. So, it was definitely a tough fight. So, I could see 2 rounds for Moses. Rounds 1 and 2.
Yeah,
Round 3, absolutely, Young won that. So let's talk. Let's go through round 1. Okay, so let's talk about actually first Thiago Moses. This was his weakness in this fight. Ready?
go ahead.
He was not throwing.
No.
He was relying, and he definitely had the grappling advantage, and that was on full display in that first one. Gage Young, great initial takedown defense, and that takedown defense, carried him through the rest of the fight too. But in that, second, third attempt Thiago Moses had, when he did actually get Gage Young down, shortly after he gets the back, he's going for twisters, he's going for anacondas, he's going for executioner chokes, dangerous submissions. But turns out that's all Thiago Moses really had for him. Except that's not really the case, because in the last 40 seconds of both round 2 and round 3, he was throwing, which means he could have done it the whole time, but he chose not to stand in the pocket and throw it all, which allowed Gage Young to win on the feet in a fight that he, I think, was outskilled in.
Yeah, he totally was outskilled in that fight.
And he should be outskilled. He's 25, 3 fights in UFC, going up against a 15-fight veteran, I want to say, in the UFC. So, of course he is, but it was on full display.
Yes.
He got lucky with that win because that was a bad game plan by Moses.
Yeah, he did get lucky on that plan, but hey, Thiago Moses, you should have had a better game plan. Honestly, you're a true veteran in the game, and your team should have did you better on that one. I'm sorry. It was just, it is what it is, and sometimes that's just how it happens. And I just still think Gage definitely got the win. I can just see it a little bit why people would be like, but I don't think it's that big of a controversy.
It's round 2 for me.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. So, round 2 is tough to score. The best of the strikes of that round were in the last 40 seconds by Thiago Moises.
Yeah.
Now, Gage Young tripled the output in that round. You know what I mean? It was like 45 strikes to like 14 strikes.
Yes.
Significant, not total.
Yeah.
Or I think total and significant, whatever it was. He completely outworked in round 1 and blocked all the takedown attempts in round 2 as well. Sorry. In round 2, outworked him with the strikes and blocked all the takedowns, but defense is its own reward. You don't get rewarded for takedown defense. You just get to keep the fight where you want it to be. It's not points. Because of that, when Thiago Moises does start throwing at the end and landing those hooks, actually hitting Young, it's like, well, Young hit Moses more but didn't really do anything, and Moses bombed on him for the last 30 seconds of that fight or that round. So it's like, to me, it can go either way. Round 1, absolutely for Young. Round 3, round 1, absolutely for Moses. Round 3, absolutely for Young. And I will say the biggest criticism was, 3 stand-ups in round 3 because Young didn't want to go down the ground. That final time stand up, he starts dancing a little bit above him. What did you feel about that? Paul Felder seemed annoyed, so he's like, get in there and hurt him. What an idiot.
When your nickname...
Felder.
Yeah, I mean, true veteran of the game, Paul Felder. Shout out Paul Felder. But
shout out Paul Felder.
G Money, man. I mean, it comes with the nickname. This is how he is, and he's going. I feel like it just. What else do you expect from that man? Yes, he should have. Did what Paul Felder did. I don't disagree with Paul Felder by any means of this situation, but he's putting on a little bit of a show, and I've always enjoyed it when
he was putting on a bit of a show. Yeah. So
it wasn't that bad. There's been a lot worse that we've seen.
It wasn't that bad. No. It wasn't that bad. But I will say this: I think it was smart that he wasn't engaging on the ground against the far better jiu-jitsu guy.
Very smart of gameplay from him doing that.
That was smart.
Yes, just let him stand him up.
Dropped him twice. The third time he really hurt him though.
Yeah.
And he bombed on him a little bit, and then he backs up, and then he kind of showboats, and it's like, okay. But there's only like a minute left of this fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so maybe he thought for sure he won round 2. You know what I mean? And he's playing it safe at that point. Showboating and like, I just hurt and dropped him. I definitely won round 3. I outworked him round 2. Maybe in his mind, he completely for sure won. that is what ends up happening. You said that's kind of how your opinion of the fight too, so you can have it. But that was a close round two still,
Yeah.
and you just like you could have got a finish, your first finish in the UFC. I'm pretty sure, right? I don't think he has a finish yet,
Yeah, I don't think he has a
or
finish yet.
only a couple fights in. The UFC. Definitely the biggest stage he's been on the UFC. He was on the main card.
Yes.
And it's like, you might have lost that fight on the cards, and you definitely screwed up getting the finish. Which, who knows if he would have got it. But that showboating there is kind of like, well, you know,
It definitely
look, maybe not the
shows.
smartest thing to do if you could be down 2 rounds.
It definitely shows the inexperience of him and it shows his age there. That is for sure.
I do think it gave Moses time to recover too, which allowed him to again last 40 seconds throw wild shots in that round
Yeah.
where it's like, hey, if you just kept hitting him or just back up immediately, stand him up, and just go right back to hammering him, you might have got the finish. Moises is clearly tough and he was trying to survive. It's hard to finish a guy trying to survive.
Yeah. This is one of those fights as well because you literally see the digression throughout the fight. Moses start off really, really strong, got kind of iffy during the second round, and then it was a little bit more of a fall off for Moses throughout the end of the
Yeah.
fight. If that fight was any longer, 4 or 5 round fight, I think G Money definitely would have gotten it. He definitely had more
Well, and
stamina.
that's the thing, funny, right? The veteran was
Yeah,
gassing. And yeah, he threw all constant wrestling, constant submissions that first round. That's going to tire you out. I mean, he's 25. He's not supposed to get tired easy, but he fought at a good pace. He had a reverse wrestle, counter wrestle that entire first round too, and survived those submissions. So he was getting tired as well. And you know what? What I will say is, for a guy with only 3 fights in the UFC, he's showing perfect 3 round cardio. And if he just keeps going, he's going to be able to set a pace on guys in a couple years.
Oh, I 100% definitely be able to set a pace for in a couple years, especially the stamina that he showed in this early on in his career in the UFC. Shout out to Gage Young.
Shout out to Gage Young.
Do you think we have a point system problem in the UFC? Do you like the 10-9? Because there's been a couple times, even throughout this podcast, that we're arguing against this almost. Not, we didn't say anything about 10-9, but
Yeah.
we do have it's hard to give a correct point value per round for these fighters and understanding how much value do you put on the ground game, how much value do you put on the stand-up game, how much value do you put on pressure, non-pressure. I mean, when people are on their back, a lot of people think they're not being the active
Mm.
fighter, but a lot of the times they are. Sometimes being on the back is
Yeah.
the better
Well, if
position.
you're the guy on top and you're not doing it, you're not progressing towards a submission, and you're not landing damage, if the guy on the bottom is just
Yeah,
doing this, like patty cake, pancaking you, but if you're just grappling and moving from like side mount to mount to half, like if you're just doing that and you're not putting damage, then yeah, the guy on the bottom is going to win.
yeah,
Damage first. Defense is its own reward. Damage is what's scored. As for the 10-9 system, yeah, I mean, the problem with it is also the thing that makes it good. And that is the rules give the judges the latitude. So a 10 and a 9 can be very close, and a 9 and an 8 can be very close.
yeah,
A 9 could be, wow, you just got your ass kicked, but you didn't get dropped and you didn't get too wobbled, but damn, I don't know if you landed a single punch in that round. That can be a 10-9.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So, that's the problem. And, hey, there are 9-9s. There are 10, you can score a 10-10 if the round's too close. Normally people don't do that.
yeah.
It's so
You,
the 10-9 system, it is good because it gives the latitude, but when you're saying the scores at the end of the fight, it doesn't necessarily reflect how that fight got actually played. And you look at the classic examples of Nate Diaz landing the big shot on Leon Edwards in the final minutes of the fight, rocked him, and instead of pointing and laughing, he could have closed distance and maybe got the
yeah,
finish. And then everyone says, well, or in so many 3 round fights, guy wins the first 2 rounds clearly, gasses, and then just is trying desperately to survive the mauling he's getting in the third round.
yeah,
Anyone that's been watching for 5 years has seen a fight like that. It happens very commonly. And if you go back to another promotion way back in the day, they had a different scoring system that reflected those types of fights better, and that was Pride.
Yeah.
You know, Pride basically you had the 10-minute first round, and each but they didn't score the fights as each individual round. It's like, yo, if you're beating the guy at the end and he's barely surviving, you won the fight because if there was no time limit and no ref, you would have won that fight.
Yeah.
And that's how like the whole fight rules that Pride did. It was good. Absolutely, there are problems with Pride scoring as well. So it's one of those things where it's like, but like, how do you change it? Like, what's the action? I know some people talks about, well, introduce half points, and it's like, well, it's kind of one of those things where like it is what it is, and I don't feel like anyone got robbed this
No,
time.
nobody
And
got
it's like,
robbed on this fight, but it's just one of those.
so
It's always a question in the back of my head when I watch a lot of these fights. I just think that they need to implement and be more loose with it, allowing 10-8s to be scored more often instead of it being like it has to be a 10-9. I'm like, dude, no, the other guy connected twice and the other guy connected 100 times, and you're still doing it a ten
yeah, and like
nine. That's ridiculous. And then I think that we
and yeah.
need to have five scores instead of just a three. I think five would be able to.
So you want two more judges?
Yes, I want two more judges because sometimes you get like two judges that can kind of funky with their scoring. I think five would definitely help solidify and for sure like that dude really did get it.
So my only comment on that is like more doesn't mean better. Like for example, what you just said, if two of the judges kind of give me a crappy scorecard and one gives a good scorecard, well then, like, hey, the extra two judges hopefully would give the same good. But what if you get four crappy judges on a thing? It's like just because there's two crappy judges doesn't mean there could be, oh, you do it to five. Well, what now if there's two good
Yeah.
judges and three bad judges?
Yeah,
You know what I
you
mean?
never
Like,
ever be able to get
it doesn't
rid.
necessarily fix the
No,
problem, in my
there's no
opinion.
true way of actually fixing the problem because it is in the people's hands and people make errors and people make mistakes and people get distracted. They might get distracted on the ring girl, maybe flirt with her a little too much on the side. I don't know. But I do think that more judges will definitely like. And plus, you don't get as much pressure on each judge, too. Each judge now has a 33% value. You drop down their value down to 20%. I think it kind of helps out everything. I think more judges and still, I think, implement the 10-8s more often.
Yeah. I think they should just get rid of all the judges. They should put Dana White above the octagon, sitting on a throne, and at the end, they just fight for 30 minutes straight. Get rid of the ref, get rid of the corners, get rid of the
Yeah.
time breaks, and just Dana White just sits there and he goes yay or
Yeah.
nay, and that's how we decide the fights from now on. I think that would be the preferred method.
Yeah, I think that'd be definitely 100% be the preferred method for Conor McGregor. Um,
Turns out Conor McGregor's
yeah.
undefeated.
Conor McGregor won hugely against Habib Nurmagomedov. It was not even a close fight.
Let's get back into it. That nice little thing. We got to talk about this other performance bonus. Mauricio Barboza against Denis Bazooka. I want to say Bazooka, but I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
But he might have got hit by a bazooka because Barboza short. Bro, it's the first real exchange. Barbosa enters the enters the matrix, blocks the body shot, slips under the left hook, lands his own left hook, flatlines him, and like I was like, oh, it's over. If you go on Twitter, social media, whatever, you're going to see that just timber. What a what? I think it was like a minute. What a great fight.
Yeah, I mean, what, 21 total strikes between both of them? Only nine of them landed between both of them, and we got a KO. That's always a beautiful
Yeah,
day in the UFC when you just get it right off the bat. You get Barboza throwing the knockout bombs. It's always a fun day.
it was.
Different Barboza. It's not Edson Barboza. It is Mauricio Barboza. But still, shout out to
Yeah,
Barboza.
Mauricio Barboza. So, here we are going down into the prelims. Are there any other fights you want to talk about? I do got a couple I want to shout out, but anything you got to say on the prelims, or are we about done here?
I think we're just about done. If you want to just give your two shout outs and we can end it.
It was actually three, but I'll be quick.
Okay, go ahead.
So let me look at their names really quick. Robert Valentin gets the round one rear naked choke against Julian LeBlanc. Another great fight, fast fight. Basically, Valentin walks down LeBlanc, three solid leg kicks, backs him all the way to the cage, lands the knee, hits the takedown, knee to the body, hits the takedown. You know what I mean? And then just gets to work, grabs the body lock, gets the rear naked choke. Well, it's a face crank at first, wiggles it, gets under the chin, and then gets the rear naked choke. Easy win for him. He dedicates the fight to his mom, who passed away last fight camp. So, he needed that win. That was a great one. Um, let's go to the first fight of the card: John Yanez versus Jamie Raj. Great pressure from Siraj until he got timed and then blasted by a right hook from Yanez. Yanez's boxing is so dangerous. He starts stalking down Siraj and, lands a couple more hooks, couple more times. Faraj shoots the takedown. He catches the takedown, flips him, ground and pound with elbow over quickly. I think it was a little early. I think it could have gone a little bit more, but they stopped the fight and Siraj wasn't bouncing up too quickly. And you know what? I talk a lot of crap on the heavyweights, but I gotta say, this heavyweight fight on the card, what's his name? Let's see. Gokhan Sarakam gets the knockout win over Tanner Boser, and I like Tanner Boser. He's a fun fighter, big heavyweight karate guy. I like the guy a lot. Never seen Sarakam fight before. It was a great fight for heavyweight. Fast-paced round one. They were going hard. Boser's a fun, tough fighter, man. But the problem is they're both just throwing these wide loops. So Boser's throwing these types of strikes, and Sarakam's throwing these types of strikes. Neither one has their hands up. And I'm just looking the whole time as soon as someone throws a right straight, they're going down.
Yeah.
And it was Sarakam that threw the right straight first. Gets in the exchange. Goes in a round. Round two happens. Boser gets caught with the hooks.
I'll be right.
Again, in that situation. Well, I'm about to head out.
I'll stay right here.
Looks like it's... How's the bread?
The bread looks good.
The sourdough didn't turn out well. Again, Tanner Boser not sticking to the game plan. He was doing good with the leg kicks. Got time, got blasted right straight, and Sarakam got it done. And that is UFC Winnipeg. Yeah. Thank you for watching. And I don't think anyone ever talked in the live, so next time, talk to us. We would have done a Q&A, but no one was there.
Yeah, next time, give us a talk to us. I think if we got about another, I think 11 or 12 subscribers.
And now my wife's laughing at my pad podcast.
Yeah. Shout out to our other 11 or 12 followers, subscribers throughout the other social medias this week. One of our biggest jumps in follower accounts this week. Shout out to everybody. And we got around 9,000 views on TikTok last week in total.
Awesome.
Our biggest TikTok week ever.
All right. Well, I'm pretty sure that's it. And since this is a live stream, I can do a sign off. Thank you so much for watching. Go check out our next video on our preview for next week's card, Sterling versus Zalal, which will come out Wednesday, I believe.
Yes, sir. Wednesday at
Wednesday. Noon. Catch out our post show. Check out our socials. We'll have some of our videos. Thank you for watching.
Peace.